All right, happy Friday, everyone. Hopefully, you're having a nice day so far. It's been a gloomy one weather-wise, but hey, we will take this weather for as long as we can before the Arctic air moves in. Temperatures aren't too bad this afternoon, in the 50s and cloudy conditions, so we're not dealing with any precipitation, any rain just yet. Of course, that is going to change over the next 24 hours as rain pushes in with an area of low pressure that's coming in and moving in from the south and west. Of course, temperatures today will be warming to the low and mid 50s across the region, so still cool, close to average, but we are going to see very mild temperatures today compared to what we will see over the next few days. Tonight we'll drop into the 30s, but well above freezing for areas in Jackson and points south and east. So we're dropping to the upper 30s and 40s in the Pine Belt, 38 tonight in Laurel and Mendenhall, 35 in Jackson. We could see freezing temperatures in Yazoo City, likely right above freezing in places like Vicksburg and Carthage as well. Clouds will stick with us overnight. Again, the impacts can start as early as tonight in our Delta counties, and we're going to take you through the exact timing. We've got a lot to break down, a lot to talk about, and I'm sure a lot of questions that I will be answering of yours if you're joining us here on Facebook or YouTube. So let's start with what are we dealing with winter storm alerts. Well, we have an ice storm warning. That is the worst of the two different watches and warnings that we have. This is for everyone shaded in purple. So a large portion of North Mississippi, but also parts of Central Mississippi. That includes Warren County, Yazoo County, as well as Holmes, Humphreys, Sharkey, and Issaquena. This is where we're going to see the worst impacts, the highest impacts of ice accumulation. So this is basically saying we are expecting at least 1/4 of an inch of ice. We could see up to an inch of ice, though, of accumulation. So just to put it to perspective for you, again, this is in place from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday. 6 p.m. tonight to 9 p.m. Sunday. So a long period of time that we're expecting these impacts. And to put it into perspective, I've said it a couple times over the last few days, but 1/4 inch of ice may not sound like a lot, but that is about equivalent to 200 pounds on a power line. So as you can imagine, that could do a lot of damage, power outages widespread, and it also can bring tree limbs down. It can bring various items down as well, even weak trees, and we are going to be seeing that likely across the region. Now let's talk about the lesser of the two. Still something to watch out for. We have a winter storm watch in place for our metro counties, as well as Attala and Leake County, and everyone west of Interstate 55. Now, Walthall and Pike County, you are included in this as well. I think the further south you are, your threats are much more minimum, but something we're going to do and say a lot over the next couple of days is prepare for the worst and hope for the best, because if some of these situations play out and we do get winter precipitation and freezing rain across our region, that means ice across a lot of central Mississippi, and that could mean impacts really stretching far and wide, and that's something we need to prepare for, honestly, and this is something we've been watching over the last few days. So this winter storm watch is in place from 12 p.m. today, so noon, through 6 p.m. on Sunday. So these impacts, again, starting as early as tonight, but continuing all the way through Sunday afternoon. Here's the updated probability map for our winter weather chances. We are looking at greater than a 50% chance, so an 80% chance if you're in that dark blue shaded area from Adams County all the way up through Hinds, Madison County, into Leake and Attala County, all of our Delta counties, of course, because again, that's where we're expecting the worst of it. If you're south and east of Jackson, so from Rankin County down to parts of Smith and Jasper, as well as Lincoln and Lawrence County, you'll see about a 50% chance of getting some of that freezing rain. A 20% chance, though, if you are watching from Pike and Walthall County, as well as folks in Marion, Lamar, Forest, anywhere across the Pine Belt, your threats are going to be minimum. Here is another breakdown to put it into perspective for you. We do not have really much of a threat from Pike County back over to Perry, Wayne, and Jones County. So I'm not going to talk about you folks, but in that area shaded in yellow, this is where we could see a limited threat. So back to our threat of, we could see some impacts of ice on the roads, high surfaces, some slick spots, maybe some power outages, but the chances are less likely. If you're in that orange shaded area, you're in a elevated risk. So 2 out of 4 risk for those winter storm impacts, especially and really specifically ice impacts. So our higher risk areas are going to be along and north and west of the Natchez Trace. So that red and purple shaded area, if you are in any of those counties, you need to be watching out for these impacts. That 3 right there is representing a significant threat for ice accumulation over the next couple of days. And that purple, again, that's where we're going to see our highest impacts starting as early as tonight. And to break down the timing for you, if you are in that purple area, you can expect impacts as early as 6 p.m. tonight on your Friday. So hopefully you've had plenty of time. We've had several days to prepare for this winter storm now. Hopefully you've done those preparations, and you need to be in your place, hunker down wherever you are going to be by tonight at 6 p.m. Now, if you are in the metro, or if you're in parts of Atala County, Claiborne County, we are talking about impacts as early as tomorrow afternoon and evening. So just to be on the safer side, by late tomorrow afternoon, make sure you're in your safe place where you want to stay, indoors, at your home, not on the roads. And then if you're further south in Simpson County, Lincoln, Lawrence County, we're talking about impacts closer to noon on Sunday. So this winter storm is going to come in a couple of waves. I'm going to take you through the latest update. So very, very fresh information here, but we are going to be walking through it. This is just one of 2 of our high resolution models. This is what we call our in-house graph model, and this is definitely going to give you an accurate depiction of what you can expect. As early as 10, 11 o'clock tonight, folks in the Delta could be getting some spots of freezing rain. So waking up tomorrow morning to some slick spots on the roadways, 4:30 in the morning, north of I-20, north of the Trace. That's where we're going to see that. But notice we are seeing a couple of sprinkles in the metro early Saturday morning. That's because our temperatures are going to stay above freezing throughout most of the day on Saturday before we see that cold air really start to plummet and really start to push into all of central Mississippi. So that pink shaded area, again, representing freezing rain impacting areas like Yazoo County, Warren County by noon tomorrow. I do think our graph model is kind of rushing this cold air. I think some places are still going to be above freezing. But this is very temperature dependent. So if we see temperatures right at 33 degrees, we are going to see rain falling as liquid precipitation, rain, right? We're going to see any temperatures right at 32 or below that. We're going to see freezing rain, freezing on the roads, up on contact, freezing on power lines, starting to see that ice accumulation. So we get a little break south of I-20 rather, by mid-evening hours on Saturday, so 7:30, 8 o'clock, but we're still seeing some patches of freezing rain to the north of and west of Natchez Trace throughout Saturday evening. And then here is the second round starting to come in late Saturday night around midnight into early Sunday. Notice this large swath of moisture. This is all going to come in as some form of precipitation. Most of us will be seeing, I say most of us, about half of us will be seeing a freezing rain here through the metro, through Adams County, as well for Franklin and Jefferson County into Copiah County, all the way through Atala and Holmes and the Delta. Now, if you're in the Pine Belt, I think temperatures will be right above freezing, so you should not have to worry. Now, no promises, no guarantee here, but again, this is why you're not in that winter storm watch, because it's going to take some time for that warm air to move, or that cold air rather, to move all the way south. And notice how quickly that rain gets out of here by, not quick enough, but it's still getting out of here before midnight on Sunday. So here's 2 o'clock. We're drying up. That moisture's moving on out. But whatever's left on the road, so whatever ice accumulates, unfortunately, it's not going to melt until potentially early, I would say Tuesday afternoon, possibly, given the temperature trend and where we're expected to be. So here's a look at our ice accumulation again from our in-house model. The worst spots are going to be north and west of Jackson, but even across the metro by Sunday afternoon, we could see about 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation, and that alone could knock out power across Madison, across Hinds County, even across Rankin County. I'm not going to rule that out either. The further east you are, though, the better off. Further south and east, notice 0 ice accumulation in Prentiss, Laurel, Columbia, Hattiesburg. The worst spots, let's talk about that. Vicksburg showing about an inch of accumulation, just over 3/4 of an inch as well for Yazoo City, close to that in Belzona, nearing that 1/2 an inch mark in Kosciuszko, places like that, as well for Natchez, looking like almost 1/2 an inch of ice on, we're talking about on roads, on power lines, in your backyard. So we're talking about trees and limbs that could come down. A lot that could happen here with ice accumulation, and this is why we say freezing rain is the worst of the wintry precip that we could get. On top of that, even for our friends in the Pine Belt who may not see much wintry precip, we are still going to see the dangerously cold air, that Arctic air moving in to Mississippi, and you can see that here, especially by Sunday afternoon. We're feeling wind chills in the 20s, but look at this, teens by Sunday night. It feels like 12 degrees in Rolling Fork by 10:30, 14 degrees in Carthage. Waking up Monday morning, hopefully you're going to stay put. Hopefully we won't have to send anyone out on the roadways, but temperatures are going to be feeling like 8 degrees in Jackson early Monday morning. Even by the middle of the day, we're still tracking single-digit wind chills. By Monday evening, we start to see those temperatures warming up, but we're still going to be dealing with some bitterly cold temperatures through the first half of next week. So how can you prepare now? Hopefully you've already started those preparations, but today temperatures and conditions will still be mild, so you'll have a chance to get those last-minute preparations done. But overall, just stay inside. Limit your travel if you can, especially after Saturday evening. If you're in the metro and point south, Saturday evening, just be where you want to stay, because as that freezing rain moves further south, it's going to impact a lot more people across parts of central and south Mississippi as well. Prepare a safety kit, so with blankets, with medications you need, with food, water, flashlights, and let me say again, blankets. It is going to be cold. If you lose power, you're going to need something to stay cold. Get out all of the big jackets and winter coats that you own. If you have a generator, make sure to fuel that up now. Prepare your home, wrap your pipes, seal drafts, drip faucets, just a few things. But again, hopefully you have made these preparations already. Charge up your devices as well. We are going to be here with you over the weekend, getting you through this winter storm, and of course updating you on any impacts that you can expect. We're going to be here giving hourly updates Saturday and Sunday, as well as our normal newscast. So you can expect that from us, but make sure you have ways to receive warnings and also watches, and school closures and road closures, anything like that. Make sure you have a way to get those notifications, and of course check on friends and family. I want to reiterate one more time that the graphic just a few minutes ago where we showed the purple, red, orange, and yellow, that area in purple, I'm going to just go back to talking about that for just 1 second. That is an extremely high impact area that we're watching. So what does that mean in layman's terms? Well, extended impacts from freezing rain, that's going to be our biggest problem. Numerous power outages, likely power outages that may be out, and they may extend for multiple days. Roads will become impassable, so you are likely not going to be able to drive. Hopefully you don't have to get out there. We'll have to give our utility crews some grace and some patience. They're going to be working very hard over the coming days, especially in North Mississippi and the northern part of our region. So I hope this live was informative and maybe answered some of your lingering questions that you may have. We'll be here again on Daily SIP and 4 o'clock, and Chief Meteorologist Ken South will be in this evening as well. But just know today temperatures very mild. They will start to drop to the 30s overnight and staying above freezing throughout your Saturday for most of us. So it's a weather aware day, as most of us will just deal with a cold rain tomorrow, but temperatures will be dropping throughout the day, and especially overnight into Sunday, we're dropping below freezing. So any moisture and rain that is lingering will turn to freezing rain. That's why Sunday is a weather alert day. Make sure to be hunkered down in your home, off the roads, please, just to stay safe. By Monday, temperatures do not make it back above freezing, so whatever has frozen on the ground will be frozen still, likely through Monday. And temperatures overnight into Tuesday will be in the teens. We're talking dangerously cold wind chills. Again, then we start to see our temperatures in the afternoon feeling better. Now it's still going to be cold, but we'll see highs back in the upper 40s, still well below average, and in the overnight, upper 20s. So you can keep the winter gear out, but at least we will be through the worst of it. We'll be through the winter storm and those sub-freezing temperatures during the day. So if you have any questions, just comment down below. I'll get to them, and we'll also be updating our social media, and of course we'll be on our app, our Roku app, as well as on air on WJTV. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend and stay safe out there.